All right, so in this one, I'm going to talk a little bit about cameras. So yeah, let's just do a quick review here. Remember that your camera has a big impact on the perceived scale and distortion of the image. So another thing, just to review, is that you don't want to use one of your modeling cameras for your shots or for any of your animation. So now I have a new camera called ShotCam. And, remember, if we go wide, it makes things feel big and immersive and also distorted, but, kind of big. This is like a huge cube. And if we go in the other direction, it makes things a little more observational and graphic, and lines that are parallel in reality stay parallel. It's more or slightly more isometric or flattened. Um, so let's just try something like so. And what we have here is our little bouncing ball. Exciting, but it's something. All right, so let's just add um, material to this surface. And we'll maybe I'll dock my hypershade, and maybe we'll colors. Now, if we can't see anything, we need to turn hardware texturing on. There we go. Oh, haha. Okay, so one thing that's a little funny is when I created this as a projection. That is not what I want in this case. So I'm just going to grab my out color, plug it into my base, and now it's picking up the UV. What I want. And a little stripey ball. All right, and now we can kind of see it rolling without the wireframe. Wave to it, get a little more interesting. All right, so we got our little bouncing ball, and I'm not crazy about the colors, but that's not what this is about. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, we got our ball and our camera, and let's say we wanted to animate the camera as well as the ball. So in Maya, there's a few different options for the camera. You can have the one node camera, which is the one we've been using, a camera and an aim, which is a two node camera. And in a two node camera, if you want to change where the object, where your camera is looking, you actually animate or move, translate the camera aim, right? And if we look at the channel box here, click on this, these numbers are blued out. They're in blue because they're being driven by this. Okay. So, for example, if take this to the end of the timeline, we'll look at this camera. What a two-node camera can be useful for, I suppose, is having the camera kind of orbit around an object, keep its focus on an object. So if we look through that point of view, I'm going to add keyframe this. Number one, a little bit. Right, and as I scrub through, kind of keeping the ball in the center of the frame. All right. Now the reason there's a two-node camera is that if you try to have a move where you're here, let's do it with our other camera, where you have something that you're kind of orbiting around. With a one-node camera, it can be really tricky to keep the subject where you want it to be in the frame. So, for example, let's say I'm going to grab my shot cam, a bunch of keys, go to some other point in the timeline, a bunch of keys. See how the ball is kind of moving around? And as I try to finesse the tangency of these keys, it gets really hard to keep the ball from kind of moving around in the frame. That's what the two-node camera was created for. Now, for me, I use, once I start animating, unless I'm just doing like something really simple, like just panning along with something, I always use a very, very simple rig that is identical to what we used or what I recommend you use when you're setting up your lights. And what that does is it gives you kind of the best of both worlds. It gives you the best of a one-node camera in terms of moving the camera along and kind of panning and stuff, but then it also lets you really control the distance from the subject, how the camera moves around the subject. I think it's the way to go. So what I'm going to do is delete all these keyframes. And then I'm going to zero everything out. Okay. And then just like my lights, I'm going to group it twice. And it's going to be exactly the same setup. So this one's going to be called rotate X. This is going to be called rotate Y. And if I want to kind of make it easier on myself, I could even take the time to hide and lock things that I don't want to control with these other nodes. For example, in this X, all I want is the rotate X. And all I want in this is maybe the visibility, translate Y. Okay, so we'll just zoom out. Okay, so now what this rig lets me do is if I look at shot cam, I can move my focus to wherever I want it to be, right? I can control my distance from my subject. So let's say I wanted to just rotate around this ball. Do that. And zoom out. Do that, okay? So I've got a different point in the timeline. Do this. Now I can control a zoom and a rotate exactly the way I want. And like, let's say I wanted to pan over when that was happening too. I can do that as well, right? Frame for this. And move it over. Right? And just like with the light, any component of this is completely under my control. Right? So like I could say, okay, I like the, let's say, I like the pan and the rotation, but I don't want to pull back quite so much on the subject. Let's go over here. Just grab this key, right? Each component is completely under my control, right? And if I don't want to pan over so much, same thing. I keep it right back in center. So it takes an extra little bit to set up, but you have way more finesse over your camera moves. Okay, and you have the best of a one node and a two node camera. So then let's say I like this. Um, so once again, maybe we want to zoom out globally. I'm going to grab both my translation keyframes. All bounces. And actually maybe start art directing this thing. Want the move to happen for, maybe it's here the move starts happening. Sooner. Oops. All right, cool. All right, so let's say, we like this. We'll end it right over there, 31. And then you simply go Window, Play Blast. Just look at these options. Just all the defaults are fine. I might as well set it to full scale. Play Blast. And that pops out a QuickTime that we can share with others. All right.